Okay, so this is what our sleeve looks like. So after we cut it and we did our seam allowance, this is what our sleeve looks like. What I just wanted to focus on is if you look inside of, I'll look a little closer up here to this top part, the sleeve cap area, you'll see that I've added these tailor's tacks to the top of the sleeve area. And these tacks are to let us know a couple of things. One, this is going to let us know to attach our shoulder seam to the top of the sleeve. That way the sleeve isn't like off in any kind of particular way. This is also going to let us know that we need to add an ease stitch. And what an ease stitch basically does is it allows you to create a curve that is going to allow the the sleeve to go more neatly inside of the armhole. So without it, it's going to be very difficult to get the sleeve. So what you do is you add a basting stitch here from this point to this point. Here it is. So basically what I would do is, without closing up the thread, follow that guide that I did with the red pencil. Just go under. So there's going to be fairly large basting stitches. You may want to do about a 1/2 inch. Cut that excess off. So now I have that ease stitch, and this can be done by hand or on a machine, whichever you're more comfortable with. So all I'm going to do is gently pull. And as I pull, you're going to see that it begins to have a curve to it. So that's all that is. It gives you that curve that you need in order to close up, or insert rather, that sleeve into the armhole. So you go in just like you would the rest of the seams, and you start at the bottom of the sleeve. Remember, we said it's easier to connect the seams when you start from the bottom and then go up. I have my slashes. So now I'm going to go in, I'm going to baste, and then I'm going to run it through the machine on that 5 stitch length. I'm also going to do the same for here, because I actually want, when the stitches are this big, it doesn't curve as much as you like it to. So I'm actually just going to reinforce this with a machine basting stitch, and then we'll see what it looks like and how we actually insert it in the armhole. So this is what it looks like when we have done the basting stitch. And this actually holds better. And you can see you have a little bit of a hang there. You can sort of, if you did it a little bit more taut, you should be able to kind of hang your hand right on it. And that lets you know you got a good solid pull, because you're able to just sort of perch your hand right underneath it. So with that, you're gonna, how do we connect these two? So here is my armhole right here. A couple of things, right? A couple of things we should know. This is the back piece of the garment. What you're gonna see here is those 2 slash marks. This is the side seam, and this is the underarm. There's 2 slash marks for the front of here. This is going to be a match point. This is our shoulder seam, and this is going to be another match point. So this is the armhole. Now with our sleeve, we're going to actually match these points with the corresponding match points. And that's just to ensure that the sleeve is going to sit exactly how we want it to sit, and it's not going to have any awkward, unintentional shifts. you'll see as you do sleeves over time, if you can always tell when a sleeve hasn't been put in properly because it has an awkward, either it pulls too much to the back, pushes way too much to the front, or there's like awkward bunching in the bust area. So sleeves are kind of important. So the first thing I do is I just go in and connect my underarm. And real quick, if I haven't addressed it, and anytime you're working on the sleeve, the back always has 2 slashes and the front has 1, and it just lets you know, so that way you know when to put it in. So I was just about to put this in the wrong way because this is not how this goes. So I actually need to go to the other side of my garment, and now we're on the right track because the back goes to the back and this front slash goes to the front. So now we're actually on the right side. I always make that mistake. I'm just so in a hurry to get to the next step sometimes. Okay, so with that being said, this is my underarm area of my sleeve. This is my underarm area of my dress, and I'm just going to connect them. I'm going to use a pin to connect it. Then I'm actually going to go to the wrong side of my dress and pull that sleeve through. So as you can see, this is the right side with all the marking, and this is the wrong side. So I want to pull it through, that way I can clearly see what I'm doing. So this is the sleeve, right side, and this is the back, wrong side, front, wrong side. So I go under there and I say, okay, first I want to connect my shoulder seam to the shoulder seam point here. And then those lines are just gonna connect right there, and I'm gonna stick a pin there. Then I see here, I have that point that I made. Remember, all marking is important. I have a corresponding point here with my shoulder, and I'm just gonna put those together. I'm gonna go to the other side because there's 3 points. And my sleeve has a corresponding point, and I'm just going to connect it. So far, so good. And then I'm just going to take my pins and continue pinning. This is the thread that I have for my ease ear. I'm going to get it out of the way. And I'm just going to pin. You know things are going well when you don't have to do too much flattening and pulling in order to get that sleeve into the armhole. So when everything's just like flowing and matching, you know that you are on the right track. If you notice that there's excess, like you have too much, like you're trying to connect it, and let's say, for example, this is all you have left, but you have excess fabric here and it's not matching smoothly, either you need to take out the whole sleeve and see what's going on. Maybe the sizing is off, the measurements are off, or you can just pull on the ease thread a little bit more and that'll give you what you need. But you shouldn't pull on it too much because then it changes the sleeve. It becomes a different sleeve and then you have too much gathering at the top of the sleeve. So now all my pins are in. Hold on, I gotta do a couple more at the top. Okay, so all my pins are in. You can kind of look down in there and see my armhole seam and how it's pressed out, and then my side seam to the garment. If you don't see the seam, that usually means you put it on wrong. For example, if it looks like this inside, that means you didn't put it on right and you have to go in and see what you did wrong. Maybe you didn't twist it inside out. I've done that many a times. If the fabric looks the same on the right side and the wrong side, and I'm just like in the zone, I'll be like, oh, and I'll have sewn the whole thing up and then realize this part of the seam is on the outside of the garment, and that's obviously not what you want. You want it to be in the inside of a garment. These are matching nicely, so things are going well. Now we start to see our shoulder coming in. And then again, you do what you did with all the other pieces. You go in, you hand baste it, you run it through the machine on stitch length 5, and you do the same thing to the other sleeve. And the last thing we'll do before we put everything together is going to be our facing. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Videos are uploaded weekly covering dressmaking, fashion, lectures, and more.